Hey guys, Brett Weiss here. Welcome to another video. I am sitting in front of some of the greatest games of all time, but we're not talking about those today. We are talking about some of the worst. I've got 3 guests on here today talking about the worst video game in their collection. Great guys all. Now, first up is Patrick Hickey Jr. He's the author of the Minds Behind the Game series. Great guy, very good writer, good friend of mine. Just a cool dude that you guys really need to check out his books. Next up, after Pat, is Gamester81, John Lester. I'm sure a lot of you guys are subscribed to his channel on YouTube. Another awesome dude, another good friend of mine, super cool. And Brian's Man Cave. Now, I haven't met Brian in person, I don't think, unless we ran across each other at a gaming convention, perhaps. But since I've known of his YouTube channel, I don't recall seeing him in person. But whatever, great guy, really nice, and he's got a cool YouTube channel that you guys definitely need to check out. So check out the great work of these guys and check them out as they discuss the worst game in their collection. Now, after that, I will be right back here with you guys to just sort of wrap things up. And comment below, you know, when you watch these guys talking about the worst games, be sure and comment on these games. You know, whether you played them and what you think of them, something like that. All right, without further ado, here we go.
Howdy gamers, Patrick Hickey Jr. here, editor-in-chief of ReviewFix.com and the author of the Minds Behind the Games book series. When Brett asked me, the amazing Brett Weiss asked me, what is the worst game that I own? I mean, I was just thinking of so many different pieces of garbage. Because, I mean, I own a ton of pieces of garbage. Like, what? Baby's First Steps? I thought my daughter would play this. Hannah Montana? Somebody gave this to me. I'm like, what? It's not the best of both worlds. It's a difficult question. But I will tell you that it starts off with a very underrated and special game. So, I love Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. There's one part in this game that is incredibly hard when you have to try and escape the Shire, and thousands, probably tens of thousands of gamers have complained about it. But if you can get past that, it's like a 5 or 6 hour game that is a ton of fun. When it ended, I was anxiously awaiting Treason of Isengard, the sequel that got canceled, and then, you know, EA ended up making all of their games. And this game is cool because it's officially licensed by Tolkien, and it's based on the book, not the movie. So freaking Tom Bombadil is in it. It's freaking awesome. So, with that being said, when I saw it on Game Boy Advance, I was like, alright, same developer, Black Label Games, I'm gonna give this a shot. This is by far one of the worst games I've ever played in my entire life. It's worse than the Lord of the Rings game on the Super Nintendo. And it's probably the worst game that I own that I can actually say that I've played for hours upon hours. Because I totally tried to play this game. It's not fun to battle in this game. The story is slow and monotonous. The sound effects are like, it's awful. It's awful. And I'm the type of person that, like, yes, I own a site, ReviewFix.com, so we obviously review things. But since I started writing my books, I stopped really actively reviewing things because I want to look at video games as art. And the cover art in this game is badass. You got a picture of Legolas. Legolas is the man. He's the man. In the back, you got some screenshots of like some ring wraiths, some caves, some battling in the Shire, and it says non-linear gameplay allows exploration, puzzle solving, and subquests. So that's me. That's how I game. I'm a Fallout guy, I'm a Diablo guy. I'm all about like taking in the scenery and playing the game in ways that the average gamer doesn't do. I don't want linear. I want to be able to run around. So when I saw that this was for Game Boy Advance, I was locked, loaded. I was ready to go like a teenage boy on prom night. And I was totally let down. So, worst game that I own, sadly, this is it.
What's up, Brett? How's it going? It's John, aka Gamester81, and you'd ask me what the worst game I have in my collection. And I own a lot of great games. I own, unfortunately, a lot of bad games, including E.T. for the Atari 2600, definitely up my list. But this game I'm about to show you, top set, is called Street Fighter 2 for the PC Engine, aka TurboGrafx 16. I have it complete in a case, and it's got the Who card and everything with the instruction manual. This game came out in Japan and Taiwan markets back in March 26, 1994. It is a clone of Street Fighter II, but what makes it so bad is the engine is based on Super Fighter, which is a fighting game as well. And what makes this game so bad are the controls are awful, and it's an adult game. So you are awarded with hentai. So there's plenty of nudity in this game. Some of the attacks are pretty crazy as well. A spinning boob attack. There's 6 fighters, all female. And so it's kind of a funny game, but the controls make it bad. The premise makes it terrible. So it definitely tops the worst game I own in my collection. Thanks, Brett, for reaching out. Game on.
Hey guys, it's Brian from Brian's Man Cave. I just want to say thanks first off to Brett for having me on his show. And this is a really interesting topic. This is one that it was really challenging to really go through everything I have and say what's going to be the worst game. But the first one that actually stuck in my head was Chase the Chuck Wagon for the Atari 2600. Now, this cartridge, this game, has a pretty interesting history actually behind it, and it's kind of a collector's item. It's really a really expensive game for what it is. It's probably the most expensive game I have in my collection. Now, this game, in order to get your hands on this game back in the 1983 when it came out, you actually had to buy dog food. You couldn't just go in and buy this off the shelf at your local Zellers or whatever. You had to go and buy dog food. And then you had to clip out the little UPC codes and mail it in. And in fact, I bought this copy off of a person who did that back in the 80s. She actually told me she remembers cutting out the dog food things and buying all this dog food just so she can get this game. And I can imagine the disappointment when she got it. Because, I mean, this game, it was put together really quickly. It's part of the whole reason why, well, part of the reason why we had the 1983 crash, all the shovelware that came out, because every company started to jump on board with the new video game craze and had to have a video game. And so they were obviously not going to pay a lot of money to, build a really complicated, nice game. It was just make whatever you can and just get it out there. So Chase the Chuck Wagon, if you're not familiar, based on the commercials, I don't even remember them, but apparently there was this mascot, a dog named Chase, and he'd be going after this wagon or whatever, and it was all about selling dog food. I don't know. So in the video game, it's really just a maze game. There's no dots to eat. There's nothing really to do except go from the middle of the maze to the top of the maze, and that's it. And there's 2 things coming after you. There's this bone that's kind of ricocheting off the screen, just like a bouncing ball kind of thing. And then there's a dog catcher. But once you get to the, you essentially get to the top, then it goes to this kind of extra stage where the food is falling from the sky and the dog has to catch it, or something like that. And then it goes right back to another maze. I mean, granted, it doesn't, it's not like it just gives you one maze. There's multiple mazes, but still, the game is very slow. There's nothing really to do. It's kind of boring. You just get to the top, then you go to the next level, you get to the top, you go to the next level. Probably about 5 minutes of gameplay at best, and you're done. But, I mean, like I said, it's collectible. Not a lot of them were made. A lot of them were destroyed, apparently. And, I picked this one up. I also got the manual with it. And the manual itself is pretty collectible, along with the box, but I don't actually have that. But the manual itself is literally just a printed off piece of paper. Looks like it was, not even a full piece of paper, just folded in half. It looks like it was done on a Xerox machine, and done with a typewriter. So it's kind of crappy. All around, for being one of the most expensive games in my collection, this is kind of a strange one. Anyways, thanks again to Brett, and this seems like a very interesting topic that I probably want to do my own top 5 video on, because, there's a lot of games, maybe even top 10 worst games I own. Anyways, talk to you later.
All right, guys, what did you think of these picks from these guys? From John Lester, from Patrick Hickey, and from Brian's Man Cave. Do you agree with their choices that these are terrible games? Have you played these games? Let me know in the comments just what you think of these terrible games and if they're as terrible as these guys say. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for liking this video. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. And if you guys know any YouTubers, authors, anybody else that wants to participate in my series of videos discussing the greatest and worst or favorite and least favorite or whatever games in their collection, please let me know. Maybe, introduce me to these YouTuber and author friends of yours. That would be awesome. I love doing these videos and I want to make more. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. We will talk to you in another video. If you're a fan of my work, you might want to consider supporting me on Patreon. For just a low fee each month, you get a lot of extra content. Another way to support the channel and my writing career is to buy books direct from me, including the 100 Greatest Console Video Games, the Classic Home Video Game Series. It's like an encyclopedia set. And this massive bad boy, the NES Omnibus Volume 1 A through L. I will put links in the description of this video where you can buy books direct from me and where you can support me on Patreon. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.